Hey guys, it's the Nerdy Movie Guy, and I'm here to talk about the latest episode of Ahsoka. Now, what we want to talk about what are you doing here? Again, get out of here. First thing we want to talk about is how this episode elevates the series, what hype does it build, and what do we have to look forward to? And there's plenty in this episode. So, I think that there's some good and bad to this episode. So, what I want to talk about first is when the episode opens, we get this training montage. Not really a montage. I guess it's more of it's in the present, but we get some training scenes. Ahsoka's training Sabine, and I wanted to really enjoy this scene, but what happens is it's shot in a way where it just feels slow. It feels like the scenes were intentionally dragged out so it can have a longer run time. And honestly, not a lot happens. When she's training Sabine, you want to hear her thoughts, her advice as a former Jedi. But we don't really get any advice from Ahsoka. She's training her, and Sabine puts the helmet on with the blinding shield so she can't see. Ahsoka wants Sabine to use her senses. And Ahsoka doesn't really tell her how to do it. She basically just says, put the helmet on and do it. That's it. She doesn't really give her any other advice. So that scene, I felt like it could have been really, really cool, but it just felt dragged out. So that's my take on the first part. Now, Huang, here's another thing. He didn't bother me in episode 1 and 2, but for some reason, in this episode, he almost felt like he was an annoyance. He didn't really contribute to the plot all that much, and he started to have some jokes that I didn't find funny. Now, that's not a problem. The jokes is not an issue I have. It's just something I didn't find funny, and it just became distracting from Ahsoka and Sabine in this episode. So the training scene, overall, I think could have been a lot better, but it was an interesting opening. We get more story for Sabine, and I think overall this is going to help her character moving forward. Now, then we get scenes with Hera, when she's talking with the New Republic, and there's this New Republic council, and you guys probably know better than I do. I don't know all of the characters on this council. Some of them look new. Some of them are returning characters. But we get this New Republic council. And Hera is trying to explain to them that Thrawn is a threat. And she wants the New Republic council to send her with a fleet and a team to go investigate where Ahsoka is going. To give Ahsoka backup. To give Ahsoka and Sabine some backup. And what ultimately happens in this scene is the New Republic Council decides not to send any reinforcements whatsoever. Now, it's kind of annoying. It's a bummer. I thought it could have been cool to get some big space battle for maybe the next episode or the one after, but they decided not to send any help. Now, it is a bummer, but I think how this could elevate Thrawn's character is, I think when he does return, the New Republic is going to have this sense of, wow, Hera, Ahsoka, they were telling the truth about Thrawn, but now we're not prepared. We didn't take him seriously. We don't know what to do. So I think it's going to help Thrawn become a better villain, even though characters like Hera and Ahsoka know he is a very present threat. They just can't find him. So I think this will help Thrawn's character, but we'll have to wait and see. I think there's a lot to come from the story, so I hope they don't let this be a waste of a scene just to have some New Republic cameos. I hope this is part of the plot, and I hope the plot pushes forward utilizing this moment in the story now. The next part of the episode, we get sort of this space chase scene. It's not really a space fight. Ahsoka and Sabine are in the ship, and Balin's apprentice, with some backup, is hunting them in their fighters. And it's not much of a space battle. They're using the tail gun for Ahsoka's ship. So it's not really a dogfight, in my opinion. It was kind of interesting to see, I guess, but it just didn't feel exciting like I think Mando Season 3. So Mando Season 3 has some very exciting space fights. And that's something that I've seen Disney Plus has the capability to do. We just didn't get that in this episode, I feel. But overall, I don't think it was a bad thing. I think it just felt safe. And that's one thing I want to mention. Between the opening, just a generic training scene, and then with Hera talking to the New Republic, it's the standard, they don't believe Thrawn's really a threat. And then for the ship fight, it's kind of basic and generic again. I got the vibes that they were playing it safe this whole episode. And there's nothing really edgy. There's nothing that... There's no risk taking. I just thought this was a... I just don't think this contributed much to the story, honestly. I thought it could have been interesting. They had some neat elements. But overall, I just don't think this pushed the story forward that much. Now, the one moment that did help the show's plot overall is with the Eye of Sion. There's this hyperspace ring that they've now discovered because of Huang's scans, is that this hyperspace ring can travel to another galaxy. So ultimately, I feel this will either be used by Morgan Elizabeth to go find Thrawn, or it will be used by Ahsoka and Sabine to go find Ezra. So I think this hyperspace ring is going to be integral moving forward. But we'll have to wait and see, because now the Purrgil are involved. Now Ahsoka and Sabine are stranded on the planet where we know Baylan and his apprentice are going to go after them. So I hope that the next episode has some lightsaber fights, as we saw hints of in the trailer, for what I believe to be the same background of the planet they're on now. So I hope the next episode has some lightsaber fights. Hope whoever's on the hyperspace ring, I hope it takes off. We get to see this other galaxy. I hope the next episode really pushes everything about the show and the story forward. This episode, ultimately, I didn't think was bad. I felt that it was just a filler. And that's unfortunate, because the Disney Plus shows for Star Wars, a lot of these shows have filler episodes, and I feel like this was just another filler. It wasn't all that exciting. It wasn't bad. It was just okay. And I feel like people are going to get the Star Wars episode fatigue when there's filler after filler. I would hate to see the day come when people just watch the premiere and finale for these shows, because some of these shows have come out. That's the case. You can watch the premiere and finale and not be lost. I hope it doesn't come to that, but that's what I feel that this episode that's what I perceive about this episode, is it was just filler. It could have been skipped. So let me know what you guys thought of the episode. If you have a different opinion, please let me know in the comments. Love to hear from more Star Wars fans who have a different take on this episode than I did. That's been my review. Thank you so much for watching, guys.